Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope your week was good. I had a good week. Sunshine, the rain's almost gone. So I'm looking forward to spring so much. Again, I would like to acknowledge that we are on unceded Indigenous territory. It's good to acknowledge that as a colonist. So let's start with the video today. So today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up. I read 9 books this month, 3 physical copies, and the rest were on audiobooks. So let's get right in. So the first 4 were on audiobook. I'll put the pictures of them right here. They are 4 books from Darynda Jones, and it's in the Charlie Davidson series. Okay, so the 4 books I read from Darynda Jones was 8th Grave After Dark, The Dirt on 9th Grave, The Curse of the 10th Grave, and 11th Grave in Moonlight. So this series follows Charlie Davidson. She's a PI, and she's also the Grim Reaper. So you follow from book 1 all the way to now book 13, her trials and tribulations and what it is to be a Grim Reaper. There's adventure, mystery, it's a bit of a thriller, there's supernatural elements, and great cast of characters, with Charlie Davidson being sassy, and she names everything. She has a best friend named Cookie. It's just a great kind of mystery thriller series. Okay, the next book I read was One of the Good Ones by Maika Moulite and Maritza Moulite. It's a story written by 2 sisters, and we follow 3 sisters. So one of the sisters becomes a civil rights activist. Events happen where she is captured and then she dies. So you open up at her funeral and you're following the remaining sisters and her family, how they're dealing with the grief of their daughter and sister being deceased. So you follow how they're dealing with their grief, and one way to do that is that the 2 remaining sisters are doing a road trip across the United States on Route 66 following the Green Book. So the Green Book was a book published during the Civil Rights era, or just before, that gave kind of sanctuary for people of color or Black people, and these would show establishments, so restaurants, gas stations, hotels, etc., where the owners of these establishments were friendly towards people of color, so it was safe for you to travel. And then things happen, adventures happen. There's a great twist that you did not see coming, and it just goes from there. So I would highly recommend. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and it made you think a little bit as to what you consider the good ones and the bad ones, and that kind of thing. After that, I read Among the Beast and Briar by Ashley Poston. She's the same author as the Geekerella series. So this one I got, it's a Owl Crate exclusive. Like, isn't this gorgeous? And then the cover is also, see how this, so you could reverse it and put it off as the dust jacket. So this felt to me a bit middle grade, not really YA. And this one, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. So you follow this girl that was marked by the forest that kind of borders this kingdom. Something happens and she goes on a little it's like a fairy tale adventure, and her best friend is this fox, and things happen. It's a bit whimsy, but again, it read more like a middle grade. So it was a fun, but not what I was expecting. So that's why I kind of lost a few stars. After that, I read Shadow of the Fox. I'm like, look at this cover. It's so shiny, and even this is like kind of all shiny and it's gorgeous. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This one I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. You follow a girl, and she is half kitsune. So in Japan, that is a fox, and she gets raised in a monastery, and there is a prophecy about a dragon scroll, and whoever owns the dragon scroll and recites the words on the dragon scroll gets their wish fulfilled, etc. So you can imagine that there's a lot of people trying to find this dragon scroll, and her temple in this monastery has one piece, and she is sent on a quest to kind of find the other pieces to preserve it. You also have a samurai that's been sent by his clan to grab a piece of that scroll, and you also follow the emperor's favorite concubine who wants a piece of that, who wants the scroll. So you kind of get a whole little adventure, and it's funny. If you're into anime, manga, it kind of follows that kind of vibe. It reminded me a lot of Demon Slayer, which is a anime. So this one, it was good, and throughout the adventure you kind of collect a few characters together, and each of them are unique and funny. So again, this one I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by E.V. Schwab. Now, I have a very unpopular opinion about this book. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I think it was just so hyped up that my expectations were super high, and it kind of disappointed. So this one is, I mean, this edition is gorgeous. It's a like kind of a rose gold edition. It's the Owl Crate edition. It didn't have a dust jacket. As you can tell, I tabbed this book a lot. I also stopped reading the physical copy about right here, and I finished it in audio just to get through it. The story is set in 1691. You follow Addie. She lives in a tiny village in France, but she wants more of her life than basically cradle to grave in this tiny village where you know exactly you're a woman, you get married, you have kids, and you die. She wants more. She goes on a trip with her father to a neighboring village, and kind of it opens her mind to what's outside of this village. On the eve, I believe on the day of her wedding, she just gets so overwhelmed, she runs away. She, calls to the ancient gods in the forest, please, 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 I don't want to get married. And unfortunately, the god that answers her is the devil. He grants her her wish of that she wants to be free and live her life and that kind of thing. The only caveat is that to be free, you can't belong to anybody. Therefore, nobody will remember her, her parents, her friends. The moment they turn away from her, she's forgotten. So she lives 300 years this way. The first year is really tough, and after that, she kind of finds and figures out what her curse is and the limits of her curse and that kind of thing. So, I mean, it was very interesting, but my yellow tabs in here was the amount of the word silk was repeated over and over. So it kind of took me a little bit. Palinsep, you're given a description and then it keeps showing up again. There's a lot of, it would have, It's going to be 100 years before she realized what she'd done, and then it brings you back to the current. It will take her many years to learn the skill, but you kind of, so I was hoping that further along you would learn how she would learn that kind of thing. And you're always alluded to an event that happened in New Orleans, and then you get to the event and where you were like, what was the big deal? I totally saw this coming. And then you're kind of in modern day, and she meets a guy named Henry, and he remembers her. So that was cute. You could kind of follow their little story. And then you kind of see what's coming and that kind of thing. So I am sure lots of people, this is their favorite book, so each their own opinion, but for me it was kind of a flop, which was disappointing. And then, last but not least, I read Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, and it made me cry. It made me like, mad. Anyway, that one I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. That was amazing. And it's kind of the prequel, loosely, to The Hate You Give. So The Hate You Give follows Star, and she is witness to her best friend being shot down by a police officer. So in Concrete Rose, it follows her father when he was a teenager, and it shows you what the expectation was for a black man. There's like toxic masculinity. What else is there? It's just, because he got raised in a kind of like a ghetto, so he gets involved in gangs, and then finds out that he's the father of a 3-month-old baby, and he's left to raise this baby, and so on and so forth. So it kind of, there's the struggle. It was, to me, 5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, that is my February wrap-up. Let me know what you read in February. What was your pluses? What was your minuses? What was your so? And I hope your March is going to be a great month. So far, not too bad for me. I think I'm going to be picking up a few physical books, trying to get this piles down. So again, thank you again for watching. Please consider subscribing. I'll put here some more videos that you can check out, comment, and we'll see you next week. Bye!